Yo, when I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Welcome to what is a good evening. This is a new Space Order pod. Got that new. And we are under the touchline Frucker, but I'll be your host tonight, X-Pac, and I'll be joined today by none other than lovely Booker T, Tops. Firstly, how you doing?
Yo, what's good, brother? You good?
Absolutely smashing. Yeah, soon to come physio aside. Brilliant. And Tobes Goldberg, how you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. Good to be back on the pod. How are you doing? Great.
Yeah. I mean, the team's actually got me in decent spirits. I have to show half the resilience as them to get through this cough. But yeah, we'll move. I don't think there's anywhere else to start other than the most recent game. Obviously, we just progressed to the Champions League knockouts, needing only a draw away at Marseille. Obviously, going into it, we have a lot of ops waiting to send their memes, send their bookmark tweets, whatever. There's a lot of ex-Arsenal players. We've got injuries. Firstly, Tobes, I was gonna say, like, were you confident going into the match? But I think that's almost the easy answer. But once you saw the lineup, how was you feeling going into that?
When I saw the lineup, I was annoyed, but still expected that Spurs can do enough here to get 3 points. As my brother Tops will allude to once he speaks, he wasn't optimistic, and to be honest, when I looked at how the first half unfolded, I could see why he wasn't optimistic. But even
why was you optimistic? Yeah, I'm here, Playboy.
Yeah, you can be here. You can be here. I was the reason, and I'm gonna continue now. The reason why I was optimistic is because this is Marseille. This is not Barcelona. This is not fucking Man City. This is Olympic Marseille, and it's a rubbed out version of Olympic Marseille. People are telling me that a 50-year-old Payet is going to dunk on Spurs. A 60-year-old Sanchez is going to dunk on Spurs. A 50-year-old Kolasinac is going to shackle Spurs. Bro, listen, as poor as we play, I always knew that, like, all we need to do is just put in just a all it takes was a competent performance would beat that Marseille side. Do you get what I'm saying? And the lineup just, not for the first time, not for the second time, not for the third time this season, Antonio Conte keeps struggling to pick like the best or the most suitable lineup. There's been way too many times this season where we've said to ourselves, "Oh God, even if we win today, like, I think Conte's got the lineup wrong." There's bare, like, look at the lineup, like Ryan Suss or Ryan Shockignon. Ryan Suss? Let's go with Ryan Suss because that's what Yaz.
Yeah, because the other nickname is Force, but yeah,
Ryan Suss, because he bloody is suspect when it comes to football. Yeah, bruv, he's not even good at left wing back. Why is he playing right wing back? So that's the first point. The second point as well, Lucas Moura. This guy, since he's come back from injury, he's been on a one-man mission to remind people why he was sent to Azkaban towards the back end of last season. The guy is cheeks. Brian Hill has actually come on and has actually made a difference in some of the matches, some of the cameos he's had. Why is it Lucas Moura that deserves to start? So yeah, man, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. But everywhere else in the team, I thought he got it right.
Yeah, there was a few weird chops and changes. You had Dyer moving to right centre back, Longley coming to the centre. That was.
I thought that was good.
Yeah,
I thought that was the good decision. That was the right decision because he couldn't. There was no way on earth he could. There's no way on earth he could play Sanchez again. Impossible. You cannot play that calamity in a game of this magnitude. Impossible. Impossible.
Nice little French twang there. Yeah, so obviously I think a lot of people wanted him to drop both Emerson and Sanchez on that side. Ball progression down the right-hand side was pretty much impossible with those two playing. So him chopping that around. I personally liked the intent from what I saw from the lineup. There was a lot of players who I thought could, add some kind of attacking. Again, I'll use the word thrust, even though it sounds a bit dodgy. But this won't be my first or last pause on this podcast, I'm sure. So with that, I was intrigued to see how it played out in the first half. Obviously, I'll move over to you, Tops. Ultimately, break down how that lineup and that first half ultimately played out.
Hey.
Did you boo?
Hey, man.
That's
Nah.
Hey, listen, Tomes knows why he's laughing.
Tops was defeated before a ball was kicked, bro.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I ain't ever seen us play an away game in Europe. And I you know what? I sent a load of questions into the group about when was the last time we performed in an important away game in the Champions League. And of course the lads came in, they came through, they all confirmed to me that the last game that we performed in Europe of any importance was Ajax in the 2018-19 season. So
that was ultimately that was the last important away European game we had played, though. No? I mean, I know we were in the Champions League 1920, but it was almost a write-off.
Well, you know the name of the game at this point, Owen. So going into this game, no Romero, no Kulu, no Richie, 4 changes. I can't lie. I'm gonna be so frank with you. I saw us getting packed. I literally saw us getting packed. I thought us going to the Velodrome. I read the reports.
Hype.
I read the reports.
Velodrome hype.
The
Fireworks hype.
fireworks
They woke up the place at 4 a.m.
I felt like the atmosphere was going to be raucous, and to be honest with you, like everything that I thought would happen in that first half, it came to fruition. We were toothless, however you want to call it, gutless. The performance was lacking absolutely no energy. The press was basically non-existent. I just felt like I'd seen this game happen many times before. And obviously when they went 1-0 up, in my head I was like, I know how this book ends. But they managed to turn it around. I can't even tell you that I was upset or I was annoyed at that first half, because in truth, based on what I've seen this team do, in the last sort of 3-4 years, it was a performance, especially when it comes to important games, that I'm just so used to seeing. So I just hope that they can maybe change it up in the second half, maybe do something different. Son going off with that injury, which I don't know. I have a few feelings about how that injury went down, but
you don't want to say it? I'll say it. He's saving himself for the World Cup. There, I've said it.
Hey man, if you go into something, if you go into a challenge not 100%, the more than likelihood for you to come out injured in that challenge. If you go in 100%, then you have nothing to fear.
He closed his eyes.
Harsh. That's harsh.
I know.
He literally got. Didn't he get elbowed in the?
It was like a shoulder. It was quite.
It wasn't an elbow. Come on now. It was a shoulder. Yeah, it wasn't an elbow. Look at you, Toby. Have some shape. Have some shame.
No. To be honest with you, it was the injury he sustained. Yeah, it was a bad one. But I don't know. I just feel like I've seen him go into these duels 50-50, maybe even less than 50 in the last few weeks. And to be honest with you, something like this was almost waiting to happen. But it's happened. And yeah, that's my take on the first half. I've said it, and I've said it in the pod, I've said it in the group. I'm just so unmoved by this group of players right now. I'm so unmoved. I'm so unmotivated. Like, I'm not even going to say I'm unhappy, because I'm still going to games. I'm still watching games. But I just feel that this current group of players will not effectively be able to do what is required of them under Conte. I just don't think they're capable of it. And until I see some real changes, I don't think my mood is going to change. Personally, that's it.
Well, fair. As we don't have you for too much longer, Tobes, I'll move it back to you just now. Like, why do you think we played so badly in that first half? Because again, you'll have pundits and fans across, like, okay, yeah, Spurs are, they're setting up too defensively again. They're just boring Spurs. They're in a crisis again, just hammering the defensive narrative out. But why for you is it just so bad?
I think Conte definitely has to hold some blame for the setup in the first half, but I don't think it's all down to him. I think the majority, the buck definitely lies with him, because I think ultimately a ground like that, he wants to try and absorb what they can throw at us to begin with, and then try and sort of feel our way into the game. And I just felt, like it was just, it was really bad, man. Like I told you already, I put my phone on airplane mode, didn't it? Because I was watching on my Fire Stick. At halftime, I was seething, absolutely seething, because I'm like, to play like that, people are saying it wasn't a must-win game, but like you needed a point, and you're basically playing like you want to get beat. It was embarrassing, man. And I think Conte definitely needs to take some blame for that, man. Or the majority of the blame. When you look at the average starting position, when you look at the lack of press, when you look at how deep the defensive line was, you have to point fingers at the manager and just be frank and say that, like, yo, the way you set us up today was garbage. Because the minute we started to play a couple meters further up the pitch, all of a sudden this poor Marseille side that we made to look like the Harlem Globetrotters started looking like the poor Marseille side. And I think, like I said, the majority of the blame definitely lies with him, because I think these players are going off what they've been instructed to do for the most part. Now, here's where I took on the players, because even when Antonio Conte is saying sit back, whatever, we know Antonio Conte is devastating when it comes to coaching counterattacks. We know that he's not a guy who just wants to soak up pressure and just not do anything with it. He wants us to be able to soak up pressure and then have the bravery to play, to catch the opposition out and try and play through them and try and score a goal on the counterattack if he's going with a counterattacking based approach. And that's where you have to look at some of the plays, because some of those performances, disastrous. Like Ben Davies defended well, but his passing was so shit. The amount of times Perisic made good runs to the left-hand side, didn't find him. Højbjerg, you know how much I love Højbjerg. Absolute passenger in that game. Absolute passenger in that game. Was not offering anything offensively or defensively. Got on the ball, and I lost. There was a period in the second half and even the first half where he just kept giving the ball away. Ryan Suss, Jesus Christ, God have mercy on that right-hand side. Every single time, losing the ball, giving away a cheap foul. Just unable to sort of build up any sort of momentum, because we just couldn't string 5 passes together. So the tactics are one thing, yes, but players who can't even do basic things, you can't win duels, you can't pass properly, you can't retain the ball. It's a disaster of a cocktail, isn't it? And even the front line as well. Son was doing diddly squat. Kane, we just kept hoofing it long to Harry Kane and struggling to hold up the ball a couple times. But again, when you looked at the front three, they were just so isolated from the rest of the team. The rest of the team is basically camped at the edge of our box, and then you've just got like 4 man up against 2 players. And don't even get me started on that absolute bonehead, that Brazilian. In fact, he's not even Brazilian. We have got the two of the most fraudulent Brazilians I've ever seen in my life. That guy is not Brazilian. He's not Brazilian. I swear to God, he is not Brazilian. And he doesn't. For someone who's a professional footballer, like, I can't even talk because I'm crap. But I'm like, I'm watching you play, and I'm like, how are you able to be a professional if you can't take on basic instruction? Oh Lord. So tactics, Conte got it wrong big time. But the issue was exacerbated by shocking players not being able to execute the most basic of actions.
Yeah, there seemed to definitely be like a psychological thing as well as obviously the way we set up. Like, I feel like our last 2 league games as well, like we've actually looked to get more on the front foot, and then we just get pegged back through either a mistake or just the team being clinical in their openings. But the first half played out how it did. Bissouma came on for Son to make it 3-5-2, and then at half time, despite Conte being suspended, he managed to get instructions to make the change for Sessegnon to come off from right wing back, and then to bring on Emerson to give us a bit of balance. Scott Hall, yeah, we haven't heard from you yet. I feel like you definitely watched that second half, even though you said you didn't.
Of course he did.
How did you feel like it was about to play out?
Here we go. Let me go on mute.
Oh, I knew we were going to win. After about 3 minutes into the second half, I was like, they're going to fall apart. We're going to win. But that doesn't take away from the performance. The performance stunk. It smelled. It smelled like sewage.
You felt the second half was sewage?
I think the whole thing was sewage. I didn't listen. Like I told you, after about a few minutes into the second half, I was like, if we don't win this is our fault, because Marseille started acting up, and I was like, there's no reason for them to act up. But regardless of what we did in that second half, I was like, football's very boring now, isn't it? Like, and this is across the board. I'm not just talking about Spurs. I'm just talking about football in general. It's just a bore to watch. Like, I've had enough of this tactical, I don't know, positional, nonsensical football that we are in right now. Where, okay, let's take Suspect for argument's sake. That boy at the very best,
He's shit. There
is exactly what Toby just said. He's garbage, yeah. But if I had to give him a position, I'd say left wing. Me personally, yeah, because he's not a left back. He's far from a left back that you're ever gonna get. Emerson's not a real human. He's not a real person. Yeah, I don't understand this. Yeah, because how has a man?
he's better than Cess.
I
Yeah, I said it. He's better than Sessegnon. I said it.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
I don't,
Yes,
even,
Emerson is not
I
better.
don't even know if I can back that.
Yes, he is.
I'll say this much. I'll say this much. Yeah.
What has Emerson contributed this season that's better than Sessegnon? Come on.
What?
His life.
He's
He
a better
contributed his
defender.
life to Christ. I don't know, but he done something that must have been better than Cess. But the problem we have, and we've had for a very long time, is that Spurs are a notorious team right now for fielding garbage. And one of the pieces of garbage, that has infuriated me the most, as the gentleman Toby leaves, is Hoisin. I hate his guts. I hate his guts. Yeah, I hate the guy's guts. And I know people are going to be like, nah, but Højbjerg, he's done this, he's done that, man. He gives as good as he gets. Listen, that for me is a perfect example of why we deserve nothing good in life. Yeah, he couldn't even foul right. He couldn't even foul. That's not the first game he's done this, by the way. Yeah, I was in the stadium for the freaking Sporting Lisbon game. He tried to foul freaking Marcus. He tried to foul him, and he got bodied. I'm like, this is our center midfielder. This is meant to be our general. Listen, that guy is a walking pussy hole. And I can say that on this podcast, because we ain't filtered like that. He is a walking pussy hole, fascio, complex, dickhead. Name it all, bruv. He's all of those. I hate his guts. Then you got Ryan Suspeckion, who can't kick a ball. The boy doesn't know what he's doing. He actually doesn't know what he's doing. And then to make matters worse, only Spurs could say, you know what, your left wing back stinks. But just for you guys, we're going to give you a right wing back that stinks even more. How? How? And then we made it out of the group. Listen, do you know how bad the group has to be? That we played horrible football for basically 6 games and still finished top of the group. Think about what I'm saying here, people. We played horrible football for 6 consecutive games because there wasn't a single game in that group that we played well. Not one. Yeah, not one. I don't want people to say, Frankfurt away, we were decent. Shut your mouth. Yeah, every single game in that group stunk, and we finished top of the group. That not only shows you how poor the group was, but it shows you how badly we bloody play football right now. So, from the bottom of my heart to the millions watching on TV, I'm here to tell you, Spurs need freaking reinforcements in January. Because if we do not get that sorted, oh my God, we are going to be in for hell in 2023. Absolute hell.
Damn.
Enough for me.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I actually agree. Højbjerg was a passenger for 95% of the game. But in the end, he actually ended up having our two most decisive moments actually going forward. Obviously, he hit the bar with
Burn him!
with this shot.
I hate
and
his guts. What you not
scored the
understanding?
winning goal at the
That's
end.
awful. I hate his guts. I hate his guts.
He keeps on
He's our general.
contributing
for
in
God's
big
sake.
games, though. You can't deny him.
God. He's like a reborn Stefan Freund. For the love of God, he's awful to watch. And people have said he's had a better season. I've heard some people say he's had a better season than Bentancur.
Up until about 2 or 3 games ago, that was actually true, though.
Have some damn shame. Look, Tops was in the stadium with me. He saw me in the South Stand, and he couldn't argue with not one bit of abuse that I gave to this team. He was there. He saw every single. Oh my God! I'm gonna.
I don't expect Tops to call you out on that. Though. He's there doing.
Hey, Højbjerg is starting freaking midfielder. How have we done this? We've gone from Modric to Højbjerg. Oh man! Oh, I don't deserve
Modric, Dembele. Then I get your point.
I don't deserve this. Even Ndombele with every little piece of pork that he had on his skin, this guy would at least get you off your seat and think, oh, he could do something. There's something special about him. Jesus Christ! What is special about Højbjerg? What on God's green earth is special about this guy? Other than the fact that I've given him a nickname that is reminiscent to Chinese sauce. Yeah, he is crap. That guy is absolutely garbage. Oh my God, I don't believe we have him as our starting midfielder. And Conte loves him. Oh my goodness. Oh, what finish. Listen, guys, freaking get your chips in order now. Freaking Black Friday is down around the corner. Buy your Christmas presents immediately because it's about to be a sour freaking Christmas. Wow, we're finished. We're absolutely finished. I can't believe it. This is disgusting. You guys put me through this week in, week out. This team is shit. Oh my goodness.
It's hoisted that sour sauce as well.
Oh my God.
I like what you did there.
Oh my God. Flipping hell. What are we doing here? Owen, freaking Tops. Have you been watching what we've been watching the last few weeks? Oh my goodness. Oh, we stink. Oh my God. Flipping hell. Oh my goodness. We're winning games. How are we winning games looking like this? Oh my goodness. Bloody hell. You're telling me Harry Kane is the freaking world-class striker. His first shot was at 41 minutes. Oh my God. What are we doing? What are we bloody doing? What are we doing? Did you watch the 90 minutes? You guys didn't watch the Marseille game.
Yeah,
you didn't watch the same game. You didn't watch the same game.
We're a professional podcast.
You did not watch the same game.
As
That game was
part of our
awful.
contractual obligations, yes.
That game was awful. 90 minutes of crap. I don't care what the result was. I'm honest to God, I couldn't understand what was happening. I was watching the game and I was thinking to myself, how are Marseille about to let us win? I don't understand this. We stunk. We absolutely stunk. I'm talking off the plane, first night in Paris. Smells like shit. We were absolutely awful. Jesus Christ. Nah, I'm telling you, I'm on the verge of selling my season ticket. Whoever wants it, hit me up in the DMs because we're weeks away. Oh my God. I'm freaking having a heart attack over here. It's horrible. I've had enough. And we've got to face Liverpool on Sunday. Oh, for the love of God. When is it going to end? Somebody start the World Cup tomorrow, please. Bloody hell. I've had enough.
Yeah, that World Cup stinks more than our football, to be honest. But
wow.
Man, I would have ruled
Wow.
it in just a little bit from the oil burger hoisting diss track version 9999999. He as I say, I agree he was a passenger in that game. I think he's obviously one of those that actually doesn't claim to do anything special either, but it's either here or there. He hasn't been good the past 2, 3, 4 games. Objectively, like he just hasn't. Maybe I put it down to fatigue, maybe not. But obviously, with that second half, played out as it did. Emerson actually came on and brought a little bit of balance. That's all he needed to do, to be honest, because of how disjointed we were in the first half. And Bissouma, fair play, helping us get back on the ball, sustain pressure. Ben Davis was getting forward really well. Wing backs were actually attacking spaces, and the forwards were actually somewhat retaining the ball. I was very critical of Kane in the first half. I don't know what he was doing, but just basic decisions were just leaving him. Like he would just keep on turning into defenders, which were reading exactly what he was going to do. He would just try and force a through pass, like straight away through and goal, when it wasn't even on. Like Son or Lucas were barely even at the defensive line, let alone running past it. And he's still trying to pass, gets tackled, plays a dummy, loses the ball. Like much better in that second half. And we just fell back to the basics and the hallmarks of what Conte actually wants us to do in terms of actually playing football.
We missed Kulu.
And then
we're nothing.
Yeah, we actually over rely too much on Kulusevski as well.
We look horrible. We look horrible, lads. We really do.
But this is why
I actually feel sorry for Bentancur.
We've now turned into set piece FC. Bentancur
he was quality,
ridiculous, by the way. Everything you want from a midfielder, he was doing it. Like he was the water carrier. He was breaking up play. He was creating chances. I can't believe he ran himself into the ground this close to the World Cup as well. Like unbelievable performance. But again, as I say, we turned into set piece of C again. We got was quite early on in the second half as well, like 55th minute.
That was a great set piece, by the way.
Perisic, who hasn't even been good this season, has somehow got his 7th assist already. I think it might have even been all from set pieces.
That's experience. He can play garbage and still deliver a beautiful ball. That's experience. Yeah. But when you got Ryan flipping suspecting on doing oh my god, you started it again, Owen, because you know what you're doing here.
We're talking about. Are we about to start talking about a player who got taken off again?
No. You're doing it again, Owen. Yeah, you're being Mr. Positive, and I told you that's the one thing I'm gonna like about you. It's the one thing I'm gonna strangle out of you. Yeah,
cool.
This is not the time to be positive. We need change. Yeah,
we do, and I agree with that as well. To be fair, like I even said in the last pod with Tops, who's been very patient as well. We will get to you in a second, but I was even saying we need at least 2-3 signings. ASAP.
3? We might need 4.
Maybe. I wouldn't even disagree with that either. But I've even said in the group chat, like, I'm not even optimistic of good performances until after the World Cup, because we're just
we have to discuss
bereft of ideas outside Kulusevski. And we haven't addressed his rotation option in the squad.
Let's just talk about his rotation stuff, because Tops was in the stadium for the Sporting Lisbon game, and he was yelling some choice words towards Conte. So I think Tops has to let his view on.
You would have wished he was in Marseille then, because you probably would have heard him from the stands.
No, Tops is relatively calm in the stands. He throws like little jabs, little jabs. I'm the ultimate warrior when it comes into the stands. I'm rocking the bells when we're on top, but. Now, Tops, he threw little jabs at Conte. Some nasty ones. He went after Conte's hair, which was, I thought that was a bit below the belt. You don't do that to your manager. But I understood. He was vexed.
The only thing I was going to say was, I guess my optimism kind of derives from we are a different team from this time last year, different manager, and under Conte with these players. With these newer players as well, we haven't sold ourselves short when we've had our backs against the wall needing a win. So obviously we had a lot of crunch games towards the end of last season, Arsenal and Norwich included. I know it's Norwich, but I mean the pressure was insurmountable, right? And again, against Marseille, we needed to win, and even performing, we didn't perform well. We still got a result. So I'm not proud of our performances, but I'm proud of the resilience in this team so far. But we do need help in January, like you said. So again, I'm not even disagreeing with it, but
It's resilience against.
I'm
weak
not
teams.
as critical as you for that second half performance. I guess I'd like to say, like I think by and large, again, it being a poor Marseille side, we did impose our football on them well in the second half, to the point where we had them overcommitting right at the death. We got away with a few openings of theirs. I see Perisic got a good block in, and then Kolasinac showed his genes from his old club. So that's the history of that, and we ended up punishing them. But anyway, sorry, Tops, Booker, you've been patient, and as quiet as you are in the stands. How did you feel like we kind of rounded that game off? Obviously, we've equalised. We're now chasing the game, ideally needing a win. How did you feel like it was actually playing out?
Like it improved in many respects. I felt like Marseille going for the game as well also opened up a lot of spaces for us to kind of get into good positions. I wouldn't say we completely dominated that half, but we definitely had the better of the chances, in which we took, two of them that came to us. I still kind of felt like the game was open in many respects. It wasn't end to end per se, but big chances at both ends were kind of popping up. I do agree with you in the sense that I'm not Emerson's biggest fan, but him coming on gave us a little bit of balance. Davies come, I don't know, like even listen, thinking about what I'm saying, I'm just depresses me. Like I'm talking about Emerson and Davies coming on to improve the game. I just, in a game that needs to be won away from home, I still don't understand like the notion why the first thought, I think, for us is not to go with attacking substitutions or attacking players to possibly come on. But then again, I just keep telling myself, I can't really even say that, because on the bench, I mean, the only real option outside of Lucas, who was starting, was Brian Hill. And even then, even though he's had some really good cameos in the Champions League recently, both against Frankfurt and Sporting, he still doesn't seem to be deserving of a starting place, or even at least some sort of a substantial minutes in the second half. It was a funny game, to be honest with you. The second half, yeah, we probably edged it. That Kolasinac chance was absolutely huge. But then again, like, you could kind of see why, Marseille are a poor side. And that's probably one of the things that upset me the most. And like it did against Frankfurt in the second half, we were kind of letting a team who I don't think is inferior to us get as much possession, get as much time on the ball, create as much chances, when honestly, in many respects, from a footballing perspective, then they're no better. They're not better than us. And I think it was obvious. Just, little bits of quality and the game opening up. Højbjerg should probably score the one that hits the crossbar. But we're able to take our set piece and score that. And then at the end, the last little bit of quality that was required, just once the game opened up, when Højbjerg went through, he took his goal. He was awful. That's the only way to describe this guy. On Tuesday night, he was god awful. I mean, rubbish. And he's actually been one of our better performers this season. But I mean, it was one day when we needed him to be kind of better than he was, and he was rubbish. And he ended up redeeming himself by scoring what was a huge goal for us. But then, I don't know, sometimes I suppose you just have to take the good and the bad. In many respects, the first half was bad. We were, lacked intensity. There was very little press. But in many respects, the second half was good. It was a bit more open. We took a few more risks. And actually, the chances that came to us, we took. So I can't really, again, I'll be honest. I was one person who had no faith in us getting any result on Tuesday. I really believe that we're a team that doesn't perform well in high pressure games, in games that actually matter. Just because in the last few years, I just don't believe that we've performed. We have performed in some of them, but just not in enough of them, in my opinion. So going into that game, I wasn't confident, and actually, it's somewhat bittersweet being able to win the game, coming from behind, and actually topping the group, which is what I would say something good to celebrate, I suppose.
So what you're saying is you are proud of our team's resilience
Yeah,
in the
I
face of adversity and in a must-win game.
I am, and do you know what as well? One thing I've been thinking about recently is that, like, I don't know. I'm just thinking, just out the ball here, but I feel that we have a second gear. I honestly feel we're just choosing not to go into it, because if you look at the way started, if we look at the way we started games so slowly, not really on the front foot, but all of a sudden, every single one of the players has the ability, has the energy, has the engine to go into the last games, the last 10, last 20, last 30 minutes of the game, and they look like completely different. We look like a completely different team, which I don't know. I can't really work out whether we are choosing to play this way and saving our energy, or I don't know, because our second halves in the last 3 games have been excellent. I'm going to be honest with you; they've been good. They've been games where we've been either chasing the game or coming from behind or trying to win the game. And actually, the performances that you kind of require over a period of 90 minutes, we've kind of given in the 45 minutes of the last 3 games. That is against Bournemouth at the weekend, and us coming back losing, effectively winning that second half, 3-1. Second half against Sporting, I thought was very good. We were unfortunate to not win that game. And then obviously, again, we won this half 2-0 against Marseille, which I can't seem to put my finger on. I don't really know why.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of mitigating factors, and I do think it does stem from, I guess, a lack of quality throughout the side for one, and then a lack of trust from maybe some of our fringe, from Conte to some of our more fringe players who could have probably made more of an impact, but he hasn't chosen to trust them. Players like Bissouma, Hill, Spence. Although he seems to be half right about Hill, I think Hill's shown tangibles he can at least be better than Lucas Moura. So, it's a weird balancing act. But yeah, hopefully we can get that addressed in maybe even in January. As soon as January, we'll get into that a little bit later. You obviously mentioned the Bournemouth game, which was a nice segue. So we've done it in a slight reverse chronological order, probably breaking down these games. But I'll use that as a precursor to preview our next league game against Liverpool on the weekend. So with Marseille in mind, Conte did decide to start Sanchez and Emerson. Skip and Basuma also came in to start, and then it was Kane and Son up front. So he went back to 3-5-2. Sessegnon started on the left, and then Longley and Ben Davis made up the defense. So Dyer was rested, and obviously Hugo decided to start the game. I'm trying to think how we predicted that, Tops, on last week's pod. I don't even think even I was confident for that.
No, I don't think either of us were, but we thought it was a game similar in away games to like Brighton away and Forest away, where it wouldn't be a walkover, it wouldn't be an easy game, but it would be one of those ones where you just you get to that game, you get to that ground, you soak up any sort of pressure, you soak up any sort of atmosphere that the crowd might give you, and you just kind of fuck off back to London with as many points as you can basically grab. And fortunately, in those 3 away games this season, Notts Forest, Brighton away, and now Bournemouth, we've managed to do that, which honestly is what I expect. So us making it harder for ourselves quietly pisses me off, but again, they're all the same 3 points.
Touche. And really and truly, even after seeing the lineup, like, this is what I mean, where Conte has to take some of the criticism as well, because we've seen so much evidence that Sanchez and Emerson don't work together at all. No, large. I don't even think we started that first half badly either. And unfortunately, I didn't even know who Kiefer Moore was before that game, other than like he's apparently quite good in the air. And he showed that, man. Like their first goal was quite traumatic to witness. And overall, Scott Hall, how did you think that that briefly played out? If you watched it, or claims not to have watched it.
No, I saw the highlights of that game. And listen, the first goal. If I run through the goals, listen to this. The first goal, we got caught up playing a high line. That's like, this is what infuriates me the most about our club. Yeah, we're like, push the defenders up so we could be further up. Yeah. Well, he then decides clearly that that's the point to do it. This is the team to do it against, but does it with a back line of freaking, I can't even remember the back line. I just knew it stunk. But that back line where Sanchez, and this is the thing about Sanchez that annoys me the most. Him coming across trying to help.
Sorry to interrupt you. It was a back line of Longley as the central guy, Davies as the left centre back, and Sanchez as the right centre back.
Cool. So Longley is tied up against whoever the player was that took the ball and then passed it on. Yeah. Which I didn't actually mind that. Yeah. But while he done that, Davis had pushed up. So there was space if he got turned, which is what happened. He got turned. Guy played it in. Tavernier is now running down. Blah, 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 blah. Now, Sanchez, if he wasn't such a horrible defender, yeah, most people were like, why didn't he just stick with Kiefer Moore or whatever? Yeah. I'm not even actually upset that he came across. What I am upset about, yeah, is that he thought I should go down to ground. because I'm going to slide and try and stop this cross from coming in. Because in his head, this ball is going to come in front of him. And if he slides, he blocks it and it goes out for a corner. This is the level of madness we're dealing with at the back line. Yeah, that he thought sliding away from a ball that has yet to be crossed 10, 15 yards away, 10 maybe, to be even fairer to him. He was nowhere near it. Even when it got cut behind him, he was just nowhere near it. And Kiefer Moore had time and obviously slotted it past Hugo, who clearly had drank water on that day and not the usual Moët that he drinks for some of these games. But the second goal for me,
I actually thought that was quite good to watch from them.
Listen, the second goal for me was a perfect example as to what. Listen, I went online and somebody said, nah, Romero's starting to show his ugly side. This is what somebody said online, yeah? And this is how bad Tottenham have become defensively. That man thought Romero was playing. He wasn't even in the lineup. They just thought our best defender, because all we do is sit and defend, he was the one that got his ass handed to him. wasn't the case. It was good old Sanchez and the Brazilian that's not Brazilian, MSU, yeah, that got absolutely dunked on by Kiefer Moore.
Mm.
Great header, by the way. Fantastic goal. Absolutely superb. In between two players. Beautiful. Now,
Yeah, but even though you say beautiful goal, I sometimes you can give players props for finishing a goal well, for being able to almost make the chance themselves and score the chance that's given to them. But I want you to just go back to that highlight, and I want you to objectively look at what, if you look at individually, just watch what Emerson does, and individually watch what Sanchez does. Like
I'll tell you what Sanchez does.
Either of them, I just find it incredible that Conte continues to trust these guys. One of them,
He likes crap.
one of them's position and his body positioning was so wrong in regards to where the attacker was, and the other one went to clear the ball in his 6-yard box with his foot, and his foot was at the same height as Kiefer Moore's head. Like, I just don't understand. Like, when you're looking at this, like, from like, and I'm just not even trying to be like emotive. I'm not even trying to be like rude or like defamatory against either of them. But from a defensive perspective, like, you have to question Sanchez. What were you doing? Emerson, you're a defender that's tucking in. What were you doing? I just look at that goal, and I just think that's an easy preventable goal. That's an easily preventable goal. But obviously, you put Dumb and Dumber together, you're gonna get rubbish. You're gonna get rubbish, and like that sort of goal, it just upsets me because, no offense to Bournemouth, but they're not a good side. But you know, someone like that, he's gonna be somewhat a danger in the box. He's gonna be good from an aerial perspective. You just got to deal with that.
But that's his bread and butter.
Either Sanchez's positioning is better, and he calls and makes sure he reaches that ball, or at least if Emerson's going to actually try and 50-50 with that, Emerson is at least going to try and header it, which actually Emerson's done a number of times in the last season and also this season. I just want you to just compete for it. You don't even try and compete, and then when you do try and compete, you put this lazy leg out in the air to try. Like, you're not going to defend the ball that way. I don't know. Sometimes when I see this stuff, I'm just like, I can't be watching professionals. I can't be watching professionals. And if I am watching professionals, why are they playing for my club? Why are they playing for my club?
Because some fans like some of these players. I've seen fans online literally say, oh, I'm not worried about Sanchez starting. We've kept 8 clean sheets with him. Yeah, big man, stop that. Water is wet. Yeah, don't talk nonsense. Yeah, what are you talking about? Sanchez, it doesn't even take a freaking genius to see that Sanchez stinks. He's arse. He is wet wipes that have been left out in the sun to dry. Yeah, he is absolutely awful. The guy is horrible. So, all right, cool. You know, this whole thing of, communication and partnerships and all that kind of stuff, that's very important. It's obviously going to be important in football. And yes, once we brought in the big guns on that game, it turned around and we won 3-2, because that's what they said on Match of the Day. Once Spurs made their substitution because they got superstars on the bench, it changed the game around. I mean, if Eric Dyer coming off the bench is considered to be your superstar, Jesus Christ of Nazareth and the 12 disciples, save us.
Damn. Yeah, it's good that you alluded to subs, actually. I forgot to mention. Obviously, Lucas Moura coming up for Skip. Superstar Moura coming up for Skip at halftime. Skip played an interesting role in the first half. Obviously, Basuma was deeper of the 3 midfielders. Skip was basically right wing at times. Kept on getting the ball in good positions, but ultimately he's not that guy to create or play that final third pass.
Why would you play Skip at right wing? Listen, I don't actually have a problem with Conte, yeah, but there are decisions that he's making that I'm like, yo, big man, you're pushing the boat now, yeah.
I'm
Skip,
just
don't
looking
play
at him a
right.
little bit sideways sometimes. Like, I don't want it to get twisted to say like, oh, I
Listen,
want him out. But
we look at him sideways. The next thing that happens is we bring back Poch, and I promise you, we bring back Poch, I'm getting arrested. I'm getting arrested because I'll punch him up. I don't want this guy returning. No way, no how. I've had enough of that nonsense. I'll punch him up. I'll definitely happily go jail if there's a return of Poch. Happily, 1
it
million
would either
percent.
be him or Thomas Tuchel, another former Chelsea manager.
I'm not having Tuchel come after what he tried to do with Conte. Impossible. Can't come right here. You get punched up for them kind of things. Man tried to hold man's hand and say, "Shake my hand. Look at my eyes. Look at my eyes. Are you mad?" Like he's lucky that Conte didn't headbutt him. But then again, if Conte did that, his wig would have flown off. So it's not. Sometimes it's not worth taking the L in it. Either.
When our big pot is not available, we kind of have our pick of the litter. We don't really have much of a wide choice now, do
This
we?
Potter talk, yeah.
Well,
I warned you about
where's
Potter.
the
Your boy looking
substitution?
nasty.
Huh?
Your boy
Yeah.
looking nasty right now. Got punched up by his old team as well. Don't do that, bruv.
Well, he's going to do us a favour on the weekend. So, yeah, no.
We hope so.
Yeah, I think you'll do all right.
We hope so.
It's nothing personal, though. Yeah, the other substitution, see Eric Dyer coming on at right centre back. Bentancur coming on for Bissouma as well. This is all before the hour, so relatively good in-game management from Conte for once, like just being proactive with subs when it's not working. We're 2-0 down at this point. And fair play to good old Sessegnon. Got us back in the game with a really good finish. Didn't mean to completely skim over that, but it was a pretty good finish. Good ball played in by Højbjerg as well, who somehow still manages to be a kind of best forward passer for the final third. And then Gianni Vio, he's earning his P's. Would you agree, Booker T?
Yeah, he is. From a team, for as long as I remember, who basically haven't been somewhat a danger from set pieces, purely because I believe that the quality of the set pieces was rubbish, and I also think the way in which we attacked set pieces was also quite poor. We look like a team who is a constant threat from set pieces. I like the variety in set pieces, be it from short to quick ones to just conventional crosses, in swingers to out swingers, the combinations or the variety that we have from Son and Perisic. I'm a big fan. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever you read some of these stats at the beginning of the season, or that you take on these set piece coaches and they add 10 to 15 goals, we're literally reaping the benefits. And I also like as well that we're getting lots of different scorers. Bentancur, Davies, Longley, lots of different people scoring from set pieces, which is, to me, I'm all for it. At the end of the day, we're in a time where you've got so much stats and so much information, and also just so much quality in terms of coaching. So why not squeeze every bit of juice out of the orange between now and the end of the season? And set pieces is just one of those segments. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, fair play. Obviously, it helps. It's funny. We've bemoaned not being good at set pieces for what feels like years and years and years. Even Potts days with Ericsson, but obviously it helps now. We've got a really good set piece taker in Perisic, who seems to just be on the money with most of his deliveries. To be honest, Ben Davis of all people climbing over the header to make it 2-2, and even though we just didn't look like scoring from open play to me. I don't really remember us creating much from open play, but the pressure we managed to sustain was really, really good, even though obviously it's not great opposition. And then we managed to keep going until the 92nd minute, where Bentancur actually won the game. I mean, for me, I was confined to a draw at that point. I'm not even going to lie. I was like, okay, well, we're still limping. We're still going to be limping until the World Cup. Like, a draw is not a loss. Coming away with a win from what was still quite a bad performance was really promising. It just shows like at least even if we're not playing well again, we do have that resilience. Because for me, like a lot of fans, obviously in the build up to the Marseille game, I do respect it. We'll compare this Spurs team to that Spurs teams of old that have let us down in crunch games and and that's fine. But I feel like at least with this team, we've got some of these experienced players, still some of them young, but still experienced. Top 5 manager in Europe. We can at least show that we're not gonna roll over, accept defeat like we did against Man United, unfortunately. And actually just somehow grind out a win any which way. Yeah, I just really hope we do get reinforcements soon, because with at least 2 or 3, I don't even think we need 4, at least 2 or 3 new additions, we can really be challenging, to be honest. But we can't afford any misses.
What do you think has been the biggest bit, in your opinion? Then, what do you think has been the biggest issue? Because how can I put this? You know,
maybe like a Crocodox question here.
We looked at the summer as being, you know, somewhat positive, and some people, you know, they called it good. Some people called it a poor window, but one of my biggest qualms was that our first 11 hasn't immediately improved, and Conte clearly doesn't trust some of the reinforcements he's given us. But we're looking at a team now where we thought, okay, maybe the first 11 is going to improve. Well, actually, as a result of us getting all these extra players and some other players dropping down, that our squad as a whole has improved. Do you actually believe that our squad's improved?
I think our squad is improved. On paper at the time, I still stand by it being a good window as well, and I still think our first 11 is somewhat improved. Like I thought, and I still think Longley's an upgrade on Ben Davis, albeit just. Perisic an upgrade on Sessegnon, even though like I think Tobes likes to think I can really outright defend the guy. Like I just think Sess is better than Emerson Royale, at least.
Yeah.
But Perisic again, and then Basuma coming in to midfield. Even though he hasn't been completely trusted by Conte, again, like he is an improvement to what our ideal starting lineup could possibly be.
But
yeah, for me, our biggest issue at the moment is creativity from the forward line and wing backs from a consistent depth perspective as well. Like we see it sometimes. And sorry, Tops, I thought you were.
No, go. Sorry, mate.
I was only really going to say again, lack of creativity from the wing backs, and on a consistent basis anyway, and creativity in our forward line where we've got no balance without Kulusevski. Like the only reason why I wouldn't have graded our window higher than a 7 is one, I guess we didn't get an elite centre back, which I guess we were hoping for, and we didn't get a good rotation option that can link play between midfield and the strikers to just make those basic good decisions, to be able to, I guess without much nuance, just generally just link play, because we've already got potent clinical strikers up top. I say that though, we've got a potent striker up top because Son's been poor this season. Again, that's another factor of why we've not started ideally great this season. But yeah, just that. And
how big a factor? Like, I mean, let's be real. Like, how big a factor do you think Son not playing well has been for us? Because I don't know, I can't really.
Not massive, to be fair, but still a slight contributor. It's not the be all end all, because I think again though, like this is where Conte has to hold it. Like he could have definitely dropped Son earlier in the season, and then like he didn't drop him until the Leicester game, and that was
absolutely
the 7th or 8th game he had been playing poorly for. And I felt like Richarlison, when he had come on to play in his favoured position, he looked sharp. Like he was got contributor when he came on against Nottingham Forest. In other games as well, which I can't really name off the top of my head, but he looked really sharp, really hungry. There was a goal he scored, which was ruled out for offside as well. In that game, again, generally he looks sharp. Again, that's another factor as well with Conte not ideally rotating as much as he could be, because our players look shot, and the players look shot, and I think that's quite not like a massive factor, but it's obviously quite a big factor in us not being able to sustain playing good football for 90 minutes is unrealistic, but for more than 45 minutes at a time,
Well,
we just cannot play football.
But this is what worries me is this, because you're saying that you feel, okay, first of all, in regards to the question I asked, I actually feel one of the biggest issues is that the drop in quality. This is why I thought the squad being a squad is such an important thing, because I think when you have a squad, yes, you're going to have a drop in quality, but you have guys who can maybe bring your team from an 8 or 9 out of 10 to like a 6 or a 7. I really feel that the players that are coming in and doing jobs where they need to do jobs are dropping the quality in the team from literally like an 8 or 9 to like a 4 or 5. And that's where I think also we're really, really struggling. I mean, if you're going to sit here and say to me that we won't be affected as a team when we go from playing Romero to playing Sanchez, or from playing Kulusevski or Richarlison to playing Lucas, I don't understand what you really want me to actually say. So I think that the drop in quality for the squad is also too much. It's too big a difference in quality.
Who would you say has a better, like, in the Premier League?
Yeah.
Who would you say has better like quality and depth than Spurs across the board as well?
Quality in depth, I'd probably say at this point in time in the league, there's probably only 2 teams, in my opinion.
So we should, and then I guess that kind of reflects in the league table as well.
Yeah, I'd say that probably does.
It's going to be Chelsea and City.
Yeah, that's it. That is the only 2 teams that I see in terms of their strength and depth, where they are right now. And I think are fine.
I think Chelsea have depth. I wouldn't say strength in depth, but
you have to take into consideration that Chelsea is a conundrum of like it's just a hotbed of just individuals. But when you go through their team, that 22 or whatever, there are some players that if you just took them off, they've got quality in there that even if you put them on the bench of say our club, Arsenal, United, we would take them at a canter. We've got Sanchez coming off the bench. That's enough to make you realize how bad it is in our side. Like they could easily just field Koulibaly and Silva and still have decent enough players on the bench to help out where need be. Like they have far more depth.
Like one thing that also worried me as well about what you just said now is that like you feel that the players look shot. I mean, this is what we would call probably were like maybe 2/5 into the season, coming close to the halfway point in the season, and you think players look shot. Players have had to play games every 3-4 days. Fine. I mean, with a World Cup, starting in sort of late November, and looking at our team, whereby there's actually a significant amount of players who are probably going to be at the World Cup. I mean, unless we absolutely get top reinforcements, and I really do mean like top reinforcements or players of real quality in the January window. I don't know what people are expecting for people to suddenly just turn around and start doing after the World Cup. I'm looking at, and I really do mean this. You said it yourself, and players and people and Spurs fans have actually even mentioned it. People like Bentancur and Kane are running themselves into the ground every 3 days. They don't even look like they're preparing for a World Cup. You look at players who are also going to the World Cup, picking up small injuries. You're looking at Son picking up an injury. You're looking at Romero. You're looking at Lloris going to be playing. Richarlison. You're looking at players like of real importance to this team are now going to be playing another 7 games in what would be, or 5 to 6 games at least in the space of, I don't know, 1 month. I don't understand what kind of like energy level or what kind of position people are expecting them to come back in from the World Cup. Like, like if Son's playing badly now and he's already got a small injury and he suddenly, you know, has time off before the World Cup and goes to play in the World Cup, what kind of Son do people expect to come back? I just don't know. I don't know.
I don't know where this talk of Kane running himself into the ground has come from.
Oh, it's more so because he has no one to basically come off for.
Okay,
like he's playing 90 minutes. He's playing 90 minutes every 3 days with no one to basically replace him, and that's the truth. That's just the truth.
Well, that's the club's fault, because I've been calling for a striker to bench him for yonkers, and it doesn't mean bench him as in to say, he's absolutely garbage. I've been calling for a striker to bench him so that you don't have this whole night. He's bloody gonna be 30, yeah. And the guy, I don't want to hear like fans saying, he's getting run down into the ground. Even if we did have, let's say, a good striker, a top striker, that like an actual striker, not a guy that can play the position, an actual striker. Kane would still fashion a way of playing 90 minutes. Yeah, and that for me is like, there's not a game this season, not one this season, where I've looked at him and I thought, you've run yourself into the ground. Not one. Yeah, I just think he's not got the same level of fitness as he used to have. Yeah, even when we press, even in the Marseille game, yeah. So he will jog across. Yeah, and then there's no initial press from him. It's more like I'm just marking the space. Maybe that's a decision that Conte has taken and told him to do, but he would just jog to the space. And then out of nowhere, you see Bentancur dart 40 yards just to press whoever's like on the ball. And I'm like, wouldn't it be better if Kane did that shorter burst and then the rest of the midfield just like went up? I don't know if it's a Conte decision for all of this stuff, but all I'm saying is the only player right now that I think they're really pushing themselves is Bentancur. Everybody else, I think, is holding back for the World Cup. That's my personal opinion.
You may not you probably are wrong. To be honest, you probably are wrong. I think Højbjerg has probably run himself into the ground as well.
Nah, he just runs.
To be fair,
no, he just runs. There's nothing running.
So either way, he's tired though, right?
He just runs. The guy just runs. Can't even foul freaking sheep, bro. What is wrong with him?
But he can score crucial goals in a European away tie. So
we were already through. We were already through. It was just a formality of whether we were going to finish top or not. Again,
that would have been typical Spursy if we just sat back and took the draw. Though you could argue, maybe
no, because in recent years, other than when was the last time we finished second in our group?
That would have been, I guess, the final. Did we finish top? No, we couldn't have done.
No, we finished
Barcelona
second.
Finished top.
Yeah, Barcelona finished top.
18-19 group. Yeah.
So what? That's the last season we finished second in our group.
Yeah.
And we finished top in every other Champions League group that we've been in.
No. Oh, so this is the first time we've topped the group?
No. We finished top of the group
under Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, under Harry, and when we were in Real Madrid's group, we finished top.
Okay.
It's not a common occurrence for us to finish second in our Champions League group. I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
We either just get knocked out of the groups, or we normally finish top. I'm just saying. History will tell you that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you know.
So it wasn't like I didn't really care. Like I said, if we want to go anywhere in life with this club in terms of winning stuff, listen, come this January, Conte's already said he needs reinforcements. The club needs to back it. Yeah, I want big noise in January. I want 4 players signed for a total of 500 million, bro. I want crazy.
You're not that, brother.
Noises are being made, to be fair. Noises are being made. Apparently, Atletico Madrid, who didn't finish top or second or third in their group out of Europe, and have apparently put 4 players up for sale in Carrasco, DePaul, Felix, someone else. I can't remember.
Give me all 4. All 4 of them.
Thomas Lemar.
Yeah, Thomas Lemar. Give me all 4.
I used to really want Thomas Lemar.
I'll take all 4.
You want all 4?
All 4. Tell them to name their price. 180
million. Almost pause. Okay.
Pause.
Almost a pause. Almost a pause. Top two would you take out of that list? If we're being realistic-ish.
All four. Pause.
I would take very quickly Carrasco and DePaul.
Like I hear a lot of people saying DePaul, to be fair. Like I haven't seen much of him though. Like I
He's
saw an
very
interesting little scout report from you in the group chat. So I was just seeing like how he can make a difference to Spurs.
He's a
I
beating
kinda-
agent.
Serie A.
I kind of feel for him. He kind of blew up at Udinese and got this big money move to Atletico. But again, I just feel that like this is kind of a common trait.
With Simeone tax.
Players of real technical quality just kind of being marred by a little bit of Simeone tax, and I think he's a good player.
So what difference is this going to be to him coming to Spurs and Conte saying he's indisciplined? I'm just intrigued because if Simeone's like, I don't really fancy him, you know, I don't really think he's all that. Conte is going to take one look at him in training and be like, yeah, you don't really know the positions that I want you to play here. Follow Højbjerg. That's what he's going to say.
I think he's going to go more of his Udinese performances, don't I?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see, boy.
I just think Lamar is not really that effective in the position that he plays, and I think Felix is out of our. I think he'll be out of most people's price range. So.
How long has he got left on his contract?
I was reading the other day, like I think it was like 5 or 6 years. Let me just check.
Death.
Yeah,
Damn, bro. Yeah. What are his wages like though?
He's the highest paid. Him and Griezmann are the highest paid. Though.
Fuck's sake,
Jesus.
Yeah.
So Man United are probably going to go for Felix then, but
so
I think we should try cheekily go in there.
So Joe Felix, he's 22 years old, and his contract. To be fair, it's 2026.
Is that when he runs up? Forget.
That's not bad.
Nah. 4 years.
4 years.
And he's on the
4
highest
years.
Forget.
One of the highest paid.
Forget. It's not even
What
worth
is
it.
200k a week
Something silly like this.
before tax?
Probably
Well,
350.
Oh yeah, it's nearly like it's over 250 a week. Yeah.
Fucking hell, so
See?
more than Kane.
Hey, we need to contact Pogba's guy, bruv. Make something happen, bruv. Yeah, man.
Are you sure
Yeah.
about that?
Hey, buddy.
I thought you meant his agent then. Sorry, no. I thought you were talking about the voodoo. Okay,
We're talking about the little shaky leg, bro. We might need to call in a few favors, boy.
Yeah, João Felix earns around 280,000 euros a week. Yeah.
Okay, so Kane wages. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? The day another player comes in and earns more wages than that muck.
That's £100 million.
I'll be
That's
surprised.
£100 million player, to be honest. Yeah.
He would be perfect for Spurs as well. I can't help but think that he can do both. He can play as a striker. He can be that guy who drops in between midfield and the strikers and links play and can create. And he's a good presser as well, from what I've seen of him at Atletico. Yeah, pay what they want, man. I actually realistically see it happening, and I do need to see more of DePaul. But from what I've seen of him, which is little, when the scout report that you showed me earlier tops willing to take him for a nice price. But yeah, we'll see him. DePaul being able to apparently operate on the right hand side does encourage me. But we'll see. Let's wrap it up then. We've got to preview the Liverpool game. Again, we're missing still quite a lot of players. I see Romero and Richarlison are looking after themselves any which way they can. I don't blame them, but it is what it is. Kulusevski, who had a little jog out at Bournemouth before the game, still looks like he's injured. Would we risk him as he's not going to the World Cup or not? Who knows? and obviously Son, who apparently saving himself for the World Cup as well, has got 4 fractures to his left eye socket, so I don't think he'll be playing on the weekend. Bereft of strikers, boys, how do we line up against Liverpool?
I think we line up with a 3-5-2. I think the back line is going to be the same as the Marseille game. I think it's going to be Basuma, Hoisin, and Bentancur. I think it's going to be, unfortunately, Suspeccion. Probably, I think it's going to be 90% the same lineup as Marseille. Actually, no, Emerson will come back into the team. I've got a feeling he's going to put Emerson back at right back, and Perisic at left, and then no, he's not even going to put. Yeah, he's going to put Perisic at left, and up top is going to be Mora and Mook. Jesus Christ of Nazareth, that stinks. All right, who wants my ticket for Sunday? Because I can't make it anyway, even if I wanted to.
Oh
yes,
God, I'm not free either.
horrible.
I'd actually have been tempted to take it.
Well, I
And
can't
Top,
make the game.
how would you line up?
So I regularly listen to Wall Touchline pods. So this week I listened to Copy and Frackers with Nush, Ellis, and Mike. Shout out to them,
Did
man.
they say if Kanate is back on?
No, Konate is not at the moment. They've been quite positively going with Gomez and Van Dijk. Weirdly, Gomez didn't have a great game against Leeds at the weekend, but then performed a bit adequately midweek. Liverpool, they're in a funny place right now. I can't really seem to put my finger on why. Against Leeds, I watched that game. They looked kind of bereft of ideas in many respects. They did create a lot of chances, but there was just something missing. And one thing I really was surprised about them in that Leeds game was that they just looked like they could just be got at. They looked like they could be got at, which was a strange one because they were at home, and they've got this amazing record, especially with Van Dijk, who hasn't lost there in more than like 2 years or something like this. But then I watched them on Tuesday night again, whilst the Spurs game was. I did it on my iPad, and they really gave a inform. What would we say? An unbeaten in like 10 or 11 games. Napoli, a real ride, and went in that game and won that game like deservedly, in my opinion. They seem to have a lot of chopping and changing in their starting 11 at the moment. The one thing that kind of gives me some confidence is that they don't really seem to trust Trent at the moment. Trent is starting games and coming off regularly. Their midfield seems to be chopping and changing with players like Henderson and Fabinho not really in good form. Harvey Elliott popping up here and there, and the only real kind of consistent player in that midfield that they've been going with is Thiago. Van Dijk looking a bit all over the place, and obviously they're always gonna have a goal threat with Salah and Nunes, despite his negative detractors. He has been scoring goals. In my opinion, I think you're right. Similar to what Yao said, I think we'll go 3-5-2. I think he will be very happy to play 3 at the back with Emerson as the right wing back. I think Emerson is going to have his hands full. And I think he's probably going to maybe use Cess as the left wing back, just because, if there's someone that you can run at, it's Trent, in my opinion. I think packing the midfield with Fabinho and Thiago against Basuma, Højbjerg and Bentancur, I actually believe that we have the ability to be able to win that midfield battle, in my opinion, at this point. But my only issue then stands with how does Kane get the better of either Van Dijk or Gomez, because he's basically playing by himself next to Lucas up there. And I think it's very important that from the early statement in the game that Dyer has the beating of Nunes. I think Nunes is really going to give him a rough time. Nunes is one of these players who's whilst he's not particularly technical, as you would call, footballers these days, he really is going to run for 90. He's going to cause problems. He's going to move into channels. He's going to bring a physical battle to the game. And also, you want to make sure that in all of this happening, that you kind of keep Salah somewhat quiet. This sort of game, both teams not in amazing form. Liverpool in probably worse form in the league. And Liverpool are currently like 11 or 10 points behind us at the moment in the league, which is astonishing, even at this point. So I think for us, a 3-5-2 where we pack the midfield, and Kane has to make sure that, like in this game, he wins his battle against either Van Dijk or Gomez. One thing that's really frustrated me about Kane recently is that we've needed him to kind of be that focal point, to kind of hold the ball up. And in the past, he really has been a player to be able to do that. But recently, I've seen him lose battles to all sorts of players. He was well beaten against Martinez a couple weeks ago. I didn't think he was particularly good against Sporting in holding the ball up and providing sort of an outlet from the attacking, and even against Marseille. Again, I just didn't think that he had the almost like the assertiveness or like the presence to kind of just give us something to build from. So I think for him, he really needs to be able to win at least one of those battles just to give us something to go for, because Liverpool play in an open type of way. And whilst I don't think the game's going to be like, basketball end to end, I think there's going to be openings. Liverpool can be got at. They absolutely can be got at.
Yeah, I agree with that. I watched Liverpool against Leeds, and they felt like, it looked like to me they had actually found a better balance when it came to being on the ball, progressing forwards, and creating chances. But off the ball, still just it's really not good with them at the moment. There's been conspirators speculating about Fabinho, and Joe Gomez has been costing them points nearly every other game he's been playing. So I really hope Konate's not back, because for me he provides them such a good platform from their right hand side to be able to play the rest of their game. Obviously, that adds to Trent and Salah going forward, as well as any midfielders playing just ahead. I have no idea what kind of lineup Conte will actually do. Like, I take when we played them at home last season under Conte, and we were coming off another game not that long ago, and he just completely rotated the side, played a 3-5-2, played on Ndombele and Dele in that midfield with Winks at the base of all players. All three of those players are gone now. It shows me he's willing to rotate for these kind of times where it does look desperately bad in terms of fitness. So I'll plan of go for like what a kind of hopeful lineup from my humble opinion would be. Obviously, Laurie starts. I think the same defense against Marseille starts. So even Dyer at right centre back could probably deal with Nunes coming off the left, or he'd be our best player that we have available that can possibly deal with that. Longley, helpless player. Ben Davis doing his thing. Yeah, midfield three, self-explanatory. Misuma, Oilberger, and Bentancur. I think Sessegnon should probably play left wing back. I would love to see Spence chucked in as a risk. In a similar way again to when we played them last season, he just took a lot of risks with the lineup. So it's be great, but I'd probably expect him to play Emerson, to be honest. But I would like to see probably Perisic and Kane start up top, because I just can't see Lucas Moura start another game. I've been quite quiet about Lucas Moura's performance coming off the bench against Bournemouth, but I actually liked what I saw of him in that game, purely just because he went pretty much back to basics, where he'd actually just release the ball whenever he kind of worked himself some space. I mean, he might be able to make an impact off the bench, but he definitely can't start for me. That all said, I'm not confident of a win. I think we'll do well not to lose. I think it could end up being another score draw. So I'll go for, I guess, a score prediction of 2-2. Scott Hall, what would your score prediction be?
Yeah, 2-2. That's actually where I had it at 2-2. I think both teams defensively have been odd. I'm not going to say horrible. I just think they've just been odd to watch defensively, both teams. So I think there's goals in this one. A score draw, 2-2. What would be nice is we beat them because we haven't beaten them in yonkers. So that would be nice for us to win. You know what would be an absolute amazing thing to happen? It will never happen. Never in a million years. For us to win 4-0 and Emerson score 2. Because then there's like that's the killer. That's Liverpool season done.
The comp that will come from that game will be on the timeline forever.
Our worst defender of all time, scoring 2 goals against them and us winning 4-0. That you, as far as I'm concerned, you can cut your season off if that ever happened. It won't, but if it did, it would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Tops, look and see what would be your rough score prediction.
Liverpool don't score as many. I just don't think against teams that defend like fairly-ish well, they don't tend to score that many these days. It's usually quite tight. But I feel like at home against Liverpool in a game that I think we can get a result in. I think Benton and Kane and Højbjerg can probably put. I think 1-0 Spurs at home.
1-0.
A tough, really battled, hardened 1-0.
You are such an optimist. I love to see it.
1-0 at home. Yeah.
1-0 at home. Are you going to the game?
Yeah, I'm going there.
Lovely stuff. But yeah, well, let's hope that the 2 days off that Conte have given them have actually helped them. Also, they got
you gave them 2 days off.
Yeah. He did.
Wednesday, Thursday off, and then they're going to train Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
According to the mouthpieces from the club, anyway. Yeah, that was another New Spurs Order pod. Thank you to all of those that were commenting in the chat, even the spam bots, which I'd love to say I tried to maintain 99 composure throughout, but there was some possible.
There was some dodgy ones there, boy.
Oh mate, there always are. Fair play to my co-host, and thank you again to Booker T and Scott Hall. Brought the energy as always, tapping toes through his cameo. Again, tune into our streams every Thursday evening. Audio pod comes out every Saturday morning. But for now, peace out.
Peace.